Welcome back immediately, everyone. It is Monday, June 29th, 3029, one day after our last encounter, and we already have something in the pipe. Now, quickly taking a look at our current roster. As mentioned, the damage that were dealt to our Marauder has effectively made it impossible to field a good Firebrand lance. We just don't have enough tonnage and good enough mixture of elements to make that doable. And unfortunately, it looks like that Marauder's going to be in that state for quite a while. This is all the repairing we were able to do on it, given yesterday, and we are still waiting for replacement parts to come in for its right torso, right arm, and all the stuff that will need to be loaded therein. We fielded down to two medium lances. We still meet the contract requirements by doing so. But this does mean that we went from the very start of this campaign, where we were fielding a heavy, a medium, and a light lance, to just two mediums. Uh, it's been a kind of rough contract. But let's take a look at what we have in store for today. We've got a hide and seek today with Big Sky Lance, our remaining scout lance. It's managing to apparently, we are still looking for targets to try to harass and harry our Draconis foes, and we have spotted one out in the Badlands with some light craters. Probably not too far from where our last encounter had, since that was also in the Badlands. Let's see here. Oh, um, that's hardly surprising at this point. Uh, enemies are the Lyrans. They're not enemies, but they're not allies at this point. Certainly not. The Lyrans are sending in a Stinger and a Wasp, the standard issue light garbage mechs. The Wasp is super garbage. The Stinger, slightly less garbage, but they both have pretty garbage pilots, so it's very obvious that they're phoning that one in. Looking at our ally rating, so our allies are supposed to be full of regulars. I am not seeing that. I really am not seeing that. Regular means that they're supposed to pretty much start at a 4-5, 4 gunnery, 5 piloting, and vary up and down by a couple points each, sure, but pretty regularly we've been getting 5 gunnery pilots, 6 gunnery pilots, and just piloting has not been great at all. Then again, this might be retrospect. The D rating here, it's probably way past time that I explained what that meant. Very quickly, I'll go into more detail with the next contract we get, if enough of us survive to have a next contract. But this is the rating of the mechs, and the very simple explanation is rating from A as the best to F as the worst. Uh, Tells you what grade of mechs. Some mechs are considered better than others, even in the same weight category, say. And for example, one reason that we're seeing a lot of wasps and stingers out of our enemies' lights is that they are D, only one step above the worst. So most of their guys are going to be at the lower end of their lights. Most of them are going to be at the lower end of their mediums, so on and so forth. The enemy should theoretically be even worse, and we have seen that a little bit. Uh, they do tend to have some pretty light mechs for their weight classes. We haven't seen an awful lot of like hunchbacks and stuff coming from them. But in any case, so our enemy is a Phoenix Hawk, medium mech, a Hetzer with a laser. So that means that I think it's going to have like two large lasers, or either or that, or this is the one that replaces the AC-20 with just a giant array of medium lasers. So stay away from it. A bulldog, we've seen that before, and a dragon with an elite pilot. Okay, the dragon in and of itself isn't too scary. The dragon is a pretty light, heavy mech. It is a heavy mech, but it's down at the bottom of the scale. It's packing, I want to say, like an AC, an autocannon, I don't know, 5 or 10, and a couple medium lasers, and I think an SRM. Don't remember specifically, but we'll take a look at that when we get down there. They've got reinforcements coming in. a pack rat, a scorpion, a Saladin, fucking Saladin, and another pack rat. So two pretty light vehicles. Actually, all of those are light vehicles, so that means they'll be showing up in 6 turns. Didn't touch on this last time. Our enemies' reinforcements were showing up in 8 turns last time. We didn't get that far, but that's because they were fielding a heavier lance. If the enemy lance is light, like this one is, because it's based on tonnage, but these are all pretty light, like 30-ton or less vehicles, then it shows up in 6 turns. Anything heavier or shows up in 8 turns. So that gave us a little extra leeway. Otherwise, we would not have finished that in time. In any case, we have another fight coming up on Central in the future, but we'll focus on that. That's going to be after the month turn, so we'll have a strange situation where we'll have to do this mission, then do a month update, then do another mission. But we do have a one thing that we can do that will potentially make some things easy on us. Let's go to our infantry squad and see if they can get us that sweet scout bonus. They need a 6. Well, not this week. Um, we're currently 5 weeks that they haven't gotten it, so, you know, statistically we should see one pretty soon. Pretty soon. I mean, that's not a guarantee, but statistically. In any case, let's go ahead and get down there. Oh, actually, one thing. I'm okay with light craters. That seems like it'll just have a bunch of holes in it. I don't have a problem with that. Light snowfall seems like it might be a slight pain in the ass, but that could re-roll to something worse. I think I'll leave it as light snowfall. That seems like that wouldn't be too bad. Um, Big Sky, of course, is bringing Sassy in her Wolverine, Small in her Shadowhawk that she doesn't know how to dial in, Dizzy in his Hermes that he absolutely knows how to dial in, and Hog that has the Trebuchet with the LRM 15s that just don't quit. Pretty good squad. They've done a lot of good work for me in the past. So let's put them on the ground and see if we can't take home another win. This is another one of those ones where we have to destroy half of the enemy and have less than a third of ours destroyed. We lose 2, we leave. They lose currently 2, they leave, and they've got 2 vehicles, so that might just be the strategy. If their reinforcements come in, we'll have to knock out 4 of them before they leave. So with that in mind, let's go take a look at the forces. Fast loading. So most of these you're already familiar with. The the Hetzer that has the laser, yeah, is just packing 4 medium lasers. Just stay out of its range. It's got super heavy armor like all Hetzers, but if you just keep throwing shit at it and throwing shit at it, eventually it'll just bog down. Interestingly enough, it's actually got wheels, not tracks. So in BattleTech, quick aside, in BattleTech there are a couple different types of vehicle movement. There's tracked, wheeled, hover, VTOL. You don't see any VTOLs in this because we specifically disable the bot from being able to spawn VTOLs because they don't know how to control them. VTOLs have a lot of weird rules with side slipping if you make some crazy maneuvers, and the bot just can't handle it. There's also another weird one, ground in effect or something like that. Generally, it's kind of like hover, except that if it stops moving enough, it just fucking crashes. You don't see those either, and I think that's because the engine has trouble working with those. There might be a couple, but in any case, wheeled means that got it's generally light on the engine. It manages to get more speed out of a lighter engine. So this thing is moving at speed 4, even though it's only got a 140 and is 40 tons. But that also means that when it encounters rough terrain, like everything except just like flat roads, it moves slower. So this wheeled Hetzer is going to have a lot of trouble getting around. This Bulldog, on the other hand, which has the standard large laser 2 SRM4's machine gun, is tracked, which means that it can handle rough terrain no prob. No prob. The Dragon is pretty close. AC5, LRM10, a medium laser and a medium laser rear. It doesn't have an awful lot pointing forward in terms of damage. It's also not the most heavily armored. It's pretty fast for a heavy, which I think is the main thing it has going for it. It's a heavy that moves like a medium, but that movement doesn't do a lot for it except try to keep it at long range. So this is a mech that we kind of want to close with and start hammering away at. We just have a bunch of mediums, and this is a heavy. Slamming away at its front will eventually cause it to yield, though. And if we can get rear shots on it, well, actually, it's pretty heavily armored in the rear. Looks like they really focused on making sure that its butt was protected, especially with this medium laser. But, you know, rear shots are always good, but we can also probably just slam it into the ground. This Phoenix Hawk is something that we've seen before. It's got a pretty wide array of weapons, but most of them are medium laser, machine gun, large laser. It can engage at all ranges, but it doesn't have a heavy punch. Um, it isn't, you know, you can't discount it, but we should be able to disable it quickly if we can focus fire on it. So, a nice distribution of enemies. Really, my objectives for this one are once again to just knock everything out while taking minimum damage, minimum casualties. Uh, if we could take home that dragon, it would be worth a fair chunk of money, so that would be nice. Phoenix Hawk would also be okay, but otherwise, I'm just focusing on minimizing damage and engagement right now. I'm kind of in damage control mode with the whole company, so we'll go ahead, get on the ground, and see if we can't smoke these bandits before they cause any significant harm to us. Once again, we've got Dizzy providing us that excellent... oh wait, no, I guess that's not applying just yet. We just got the +1. But this is just deployment, so we rolled pretty well on that. Go team. So where do you want to deploy, Draconis? You want to deploy in the center, and ooh, this is a knife fight of a map. Okay. Oh, I hope that didn't hurt anyone's ears. This is a knife fight of a map, and unfortunately my allied Wasp has already said, hey, enemies... Well, actually, I think he had to deploy first, so he just picked somewhere, and then the enemy deployed a bunch of their shit, and it's like, well, wherever that guy is, I'm gonna fuck him up. Since there's so little cover, we're gonna have to focus on difficulty to hit through dodging. On the other hand, well, yeah, all of this is happening in, like, a big crater. I don't know what they were talking about with small craters. This is an entire crater. -4 over here, -3 up here, there, -2 over here. This is just the lip of an enormous crater that we're having a knife fight in. Well, that said, we can focus on taking this guy out by just sort of deploying everyone over here and then engaging the dragon. And honestly, I feel like that's a pretty good idea. We will deploy my Shadowhawk sorta in the rear. It's got the PPC and LRM5. It is a sniper mech, so we'll learn from our past mistakes. Keep the Shadowhawk at range, where the Dragon's mostly short-range weaponry and the Phoenix Hawk's mostly short-range weaponry can't catch it, and where especially the Hetzers can't. And just kind of walk back and forth. The Bulldog is going to be facing our way, little surprise. We want the Wolverine front and flippin' center. It's got heavy armor. It can go and do shit like engage those Hetzers and expect to live. Our other friendly decided, hey, it looks like the Allies deploying all over here. I'm going to go over there. Looks like they might just have a problem with their Wasp pilots being complete fucking idiots. The Hermes has an AC5. It is also kind of a sniper and moves fast. I'm actually going to deploy him pointing this way so that he can essentially run over here, do a slight turn, and then take pot shots from long range while moving fast. And of course, we've got one more turn before our. Actually, why didn't we deploy the trebuchet? Why is he coming in late? I know this is a scout, but he's movement 5, and all of these guys are. Right, because. Uh, so it's kind of complicated, and I might be remembering it a little wrong. The way for it works for anything that's on scout, they arrive at the battlefield at a rate of their movement minus or 6 minus their walk speed turns. So like if they hit 0 or negative, then that means they arrive at the first. Most of these mechs are packing just 5, but you get +1 to that speed if you have jump jets. And the Hermes, Hermes does not have jump jets, but it's fast enough. The Wolverine and the Shadowhawk have jump jets. Trebuchet does not, so he's going to be showing up in one turn. No big, no big. Yeah, like he showed up right here on the cusp of the battle. No big. He's got long range weapons as well, so I'm gonna once again kind of keep him in this back pocket and turn him to face the dragon. Now, that was for deployment. Was that also for general initiative? Yes. Okay, yeah, now we're getting that bonus from Dizzy in, and now we're gonna see the whole of the enemy's movement before we have to budge. He is a prescient soul, that Dizzy. So, Draconis are, well, what, sorry, I'm a little flabbergasted. I was just complaining about how the, last time, about how the enemy AI doesn't seem to make weird mistakes. Now, they all kind of rushed up on that wasp, and I was like, alright, that guy's out in the open, they're gonna go fuck him up. And then they turned to face their butts to him, and that kind of threw me for a loop. Now, I know the reason for that now. It's pretty simple. They are focusing their fire to try to face the greater threat, me. But it was kind of fun to see. Now, that said, my plan for this time, I could land some shots on that Phoenix Hawk, but let's take a look at the longest range I really have to worry about here, the large laser. So, the large laser has me in range out to this bracket, out to the entirety of where I can move. But as long as I stay in this large bracket, he's going to be at a +4 to hit me. He already cruised 3, so he cruised, that's +2, so he's at +6. And he's got a 4, so he's going to be at 10 base, plus penalties for what I move. So as long as I don't move further than this Wolverine and keep sped up, he's not going to be able to hit me, and this Phoenix Hawk is going to be in the same position. So looking back at my Trebuchet, how easy is it for me to get LRM-15s on him without going past that Wolverine? I wouldn't be able to get him in short range, but I'd definitely be able to get him in a medium bracket. So by moving, honestly, just by moving here, that's going to be a +1, so he'd need 11s, which, that should be unlikely. That's an 8% chance to hit. I could move many more squares in order to ensure that it would be at a more difficult roll, but at that point, I don't think I'd be able to torso twist on him, but like this, yeah, like that, I should be able to have them in medium range. I will have run, which will hurt my shots, but I'm more interested in hurting their shots. I think that this is going to be the general firing line. Although that said, something to be said for just moving up to as far as we can go to make sure that we can keep pressing them in medium range. Because with one more medium, well, honestly, actually, no, that's not even necessary. Especially for this guy, the medium range is going to expand out to here, and they're definitely going to come to us. So, and really, as long as I'm just trying to get someone in medium range, the question is whether, I guess right now, I guess, is whether I want to pop the dragon or the bulldog. Or I guess the Hetzer, I could take some shots on its rear arc. How confident am I feeling about these guys? I could start putting shots on the dragon, hoping to take it home, but I'm in damage control right now. The dragon would actually help my damage control significantly by bringing home a fair amount of salvage and a heavy mech potentially. But knocking these guys out quickly means that I don't have to worry about it. And one thing I do have to worry about the dragon is that he has a crack shot pilot and an AC5. So he's a great range over all of this, and thus will be, well, dishing out 6 damage a turn. It's really not that much to panic about. I think I'm going to spend my first turn putting as many shots on that dragon as I can, and in so doing, I'll figure out exactly what shape I'm going to be in for the rest of this fight, because if I can lay a lot of good shots on him right now, that'll put blood in the water, expose a lot of damage on him to potentially follow up on, and inform whether I need to then switch over to targeting only the vehicles, or if I can realistically take that dragon home. So let's start with that. In fact, I'm possibly going to just... Now, quick check on torso twist. Torso twist would face me like that, and that would be seen with both my LRM-15s. So possibly just walk this and make sure that I get decent shots. The Wolverine is kind of a tough question. I could just kind of run on this large range, but I kind of want to put the Wolverine closer because that's the one I want to be taking the shots. The Wolverine has the armor to soak up this shit. So if I just kind of sprint her forward, she's got to fuck about with some level problems, but that still moves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces, which is going to be at a like -2. I think that's not enough for -3, but that's going to be a -2 to hit her. She's going to be outside their short range, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I think within the short range of this bulldog's uh, large laser. Yeah, if they're in my short range, I'm in their short range. So since I want to lay more shots on the dragon, back it up by 1. That'll still be at a significant penalty. In fact, may as well just kind of like turn so that I can then go on an intercept arc. That'll let me put medium shots on the dragon. I'll be taking long and medium shots back from the enemies, and have moved 5 hexes, which is worth a -2 to hit me. My Shadowhawk, now I kind of lost the position. Hang on, I'm going to do something that I've never done before, just to make this a little easier on myself. I wonder if I can... Yup, okay, cool. I have placed myself a little note to help keep track of what that enemy's long range is. My Shadowhawk has a PPC. Excellent range on those. If I then have turned, I'm definitely within the medium range over here. I can even, for the dragon, and that torso twist means that I'll have the PPC and the LRM on him. So once again, I'm just going to be walking up. The Hermes has an AC5. He'll need to move up like that to get eyes on the dragon. He could keep running. In fact, he could do like this in order to make it extra hard to hit him, which I'd like to kind of do. Well, actually, that wouldn't be extra hard. He still only is moving 4 total hexes. If he instead moves like this, that's 6, 7, 6, 9, that level change. Eh. Okay. That's 7 hexes moved. That's -3 to hit him, and also at long range. I think he would be impossible to hit. So let's take that move. Alright. The name of the game is Fuck Dragons. Fire LRM-15s downrange. Put shots on that chump. Fire Large Laser does not have great shots on him. And neither does the medium lasers. Medium lasers I could put on I could put the large laser on this dragon. Chew. And then kind of double up to take medium shots on that bulldog, which would be better than just wasting the heat. But I'll just fire one, put me at sort of neutral heat so that on next turn I can really, really invest. Over here, we're going to want to put everything we can on that dragon. Now, we don't have great shots, mostly because of our movement and the fact that we the enemy kind of booked it over there. He is sort of fast, so he's going to be kind of hard to move. But we're just probing around looking for shots this turn. We're going to see what we can get. The Hermes, well outside of flamer range, but should have a pretty accurate shot with his own AC5. So throw that downrange. Let's see what happens. So the dragon, I guess I must have wandered into the sweet spot for my Wolverine on his LRM because he actually had a pretty good shot with that one. 6 missiles hit and it just pops some damage around. The Wolverine can take heat like that. Wolverine can take a large laser. It's still got 10 armor left on that arm. Enemy, the SRM-4s miss. The Phoenix Hawk misses entirely. My friendly Wasp actually manages to do work, doing laser zaps at the side armor of the Hetzer. Another problem with Wield, it's even more exposed than Hover, so it's pretty easy to immobilize. Deals heavy damage and knocks out a lot of the movement of that Hetzer, so it's going to be very slow. The Hetzer is able to target the Wasp, and unfortunately, with a bracket of lasers, zaps, zaps, zaps. That Wasp is kind of fugged up just because it stood where a Hetzer could see it. He didn't have to do that. He had other options, but he decided to stand in front of that barrel anyway because Excelsior. Friendly Stinger misses a shot on the Hetzer. It was long range. We missed both our LRMs, sadly. We missed both our shots with the Wolverine. PPC is actually dialed in correctly this time and takes a nice shot on the right leg of the dragon. LRM5 also hits, doing a little more, and the Hermes of course hits. So we did a little bit of plink damage, but that does kind of... Oh, and the Wasp then punched the Hetzer. Go you. At least you didn't kick him on a 12, you stupid idiots. Looks like we are good on our initiative this time again. So once again, they have to move everything. The dragon has put himself front and center, and now I need to make some choices. The kind of damage coming out of this group is the kind that I can soak for a little bit. Especially if I start putting the Shadowhawk more forward, because the Shadowhawk might be a sniper mech, but it's also not completely unarmored. I mean, right now, it and the Wolverine still have like roughly equivalent armors. 154, like, you know, you can see that right under movement. I don't know if I've ever perfectly pointed that out before. And 152, that's just the aggregate of all the armor values around it. And although the Wolverine did take some scorching, not that much. So the Shadowhawk can move forward. And in fact, I think will this turn. Now we're starting with the Trebuchet. Trebuchet I prefer not to get in short range because you can see that it's about 30 armor down. It doesn't have a heck of a lot over areas. A couple large lasers would strip it down to something pretty exposed. But, that said, if I could, I'd have to go through rubble for that move, and that's going to be a problem for my Shadowhawk, too. I guess the quick check here, taking a look at that Bulldog again. What's my Maginot line this time? It's right here. And they didn't take any shots at my faraway guys, but that's specifically because I positioned the Wolverine so that it had okay shots on him, and everyone else had garbage shots. Now, that said, the enemy has pointed everything in this direction, so I don't know if I want to take all of that. But then again, the real do not cross this line is the Hetzer that's still pointing over there. Never mind. Never fucking mind. I'm good. I am just fine. We're okay here. How are you? I'm gonna move the I'm gonna move the trebuchet up here. That's still going to be beyond that long range. I could not. There would be no way for me to push it closer to potentially get mediums, and that's still a walk. So I'll take that. The Wolverine, I'm gonna just kind of race up along the side. I'm gonna put myself in their short range, but it's gonna be in my short range too, because I'm moving the Wolverine up to start doing kicks and punches. And I'm also going, and it is moving as fast as it possibly can, so that's going to also mess with their ability to shoot me. In fact, let's see here, 6 hexes? Yeah. Zoom. Ran 6. That's a mod of 2. The Hermes, him I still kind of want to keep back, but this is the Maginot line. But if I actually kind of air down here, what does the line look like on this edge? So it's right here, but it also curves like around here. So if I move here, I wouldn't be able to shoot shit, but then I could turn, and now I can shoot shit. And that just kind of puts me on a wide flank to eventually get around the side on these things. So they either have to back up against the wall to keep my Hermes in view, or they don't. And I can get on their backs and sides. Shadowhawk is going to push up hard, going to get into their medium range so that we can get them into our medium range with the PPC. Eventually, I'll want to get them in short range, but that's not happening this turn. And lastly, our ally has to move, and he fortunately opts for a position that does not put him in front of that Hetzer. So I'm happy about that. Speaking of that Hetzer, so let's take a look at how much we did to this dragon. We mostly did pops on his legs, it looks like, which is great. I like doing leg shots. That means that I'm more likely to take a mech home more or less intact. But not a lot else. We're at the point where it might not be a stupid idea to go ahead and knock out one of these enemies to make sure that we don't have to deal with them. And right now, the Hetzer has presented me his butt. We're going to focus as much as our fire as we can this turn to knock out that Hetzer. It's one of the most dangerous things we're facing from a close-in perspective because of those 4 medium lasers and the fact that since vehicles can just open up their heat sinks to air, they do not worry about heat, so it can just keep zapping that over and over. So this turn, we are going to put all of our hurt onto that Hetzer and hope that that's going to be enough to do a lot of crit procking that will take it out of this fight. So we'll put 2 LRM-15s downrange. Over here, we can put it's in range, so I can put a medium laser, and an SRM-6 on it, and still be pretty heat neutral. My large laser I could send downrange, but I want to keep my mobility up. In fact, actually, a better thing to do, just heat exchange wise, then might be it would be 5 more, 17 minus 3. If instead of one of these medium lasers, like let's say instead of my head laser, I fired at that Hetzer a large, a medium, and then the SRM6 for crit procking, that puts me only 3 over, and that's very doable. Over here, you need to keep plinking away with your AC5. That's your job today. Good shots. That ballistic specialization and your natural accuracy are just delicious. Poom. And lastly, the PPC coming down range on that Hetzer's ass. It's an okay shot. I'd take that. Let's see how we did. Enemy Phoenix Hawk is focusing on friendly Wasp and manages to miss with every shot. I like that. Enemy Dragon is focusing on our allied Stinger and manages to hit it on a soft spot, by which I mean the entire damn mech. Well, no, it's a Stinger. It's slightly better, but its left arm already took some damage, and actually, no, I don't think it did. No, it had to have. It's got more than that armor. So, uh, it's into internal structure on its right arm. Fucking sucks, but what can you do? Enemy Bulldog gets a through armor critical that puts 2 critical hits on my Wolverine's engine. This is a big fucking problem. This is an enormous fucking problem. Engines. Engines are the engine on a mech is the fusion reactor that powers the entire damn mech. When you do damage to an engine, it slows the mech down. It can't put out as much energy, so it can't move as fast. And worse, it damages the native heatsink baffles that are part of the fusion engine, which causes the mech to just tick up heat over time. Because of those critical hits on the engine, the heat that I just put on the Wolverine is going to be 10 points higher. That means rather than sticking at like 4, it's going to be at 4 sticking at 3, it's going to be at 13. Now 13's nothing to panic about, but that does kind of mean that my Wolverine isn't going to do a lot this fight because it doesn't have the heat. So fuck you, you Draconis bastards. How many through armor criticals are we gonna get that fucking destroy my mechs? This is all just revenge for those gas cap incidents. I know it. I only took out vehicles with those, you cheating bastards. Oh well, SRM4 also hits and pops a little bit of armor off. It's not like the armor's a problem, it's just those through armor criticals. Those 11s that the enemy keeps conjuring up are really starting to take its toll. On the other hand, at least it did the center torso, the critical on the center torso. A critical of that nature on, say, the left or right torso would probably have hit one of the ammo bins that the Wolverine is carrying around, and that would have exploded the whole mech. This way we can at least take it home, and engine damage isn't too difficult to repair. So, I'm not going to complain too much. This I'm going to complain about slightly. Come on, man. It's a 7. 54% chance. We did hit the Hetzer. But there we go. Our SRM6 crit procking, at least before we're out of this fight, we did finalize that Hetzer with an immobilization on its engine. And Hermes unfortunately missed a really good shot, but, come on, Dizzy. You're supposed to be good at this. Shadowhawk missed some kind of unlikely shots. Those are 8s, so 41%. And, well, Friendly Wasp manages to land its SRM2s on the Phoenix Hawk, does a little bit of damage. And then our friendly Stinger does nothing. But, yeah, so currently at 13 heat. Right now, it's got 14 heat sinks, but it's going to gain 10 heat a turn. So unfortunately, that means that it can only soak effectively 4 heat. That's 1 medium laser or SRM6 that we can fire. We do well on initiative still, but now I've got kind of a rough situation. So I managed to knock out the Hetzer. Excellent, excellent. I am very pleased with that. The enemy kind of advanced in a weird way, and I might be able to take advantage of this, come to look at it. So unfortunately, I'm way overheated. I can't do anything this turn. At least not anything that's going to involve gaining heat. But what I can do is position myself behind these guys. Now, the bitch of that is that the thing that crit me, the through armor crit, came from this turret on this tank. And that turret can point in any direction. So it's possible he can still hit me. The safest action, just in order to make sure that we don't have any more tragedy on a hugely unlikely, set of whatever rolls, is just to throw it in reverse, back up, get further away from their nice close-in shots, and try to finish off this mission by ignoring the mechs and finalizing that bulldog before enemy reinforcements arrive. I think that that's the way that we're going to have to play it. We'll have to get a little risky because of that plan in order to make sure that we get good shots on that bulldog. But I'm willing to take that risk. It shouldn't even be that much of a risk to close all of my mechs on the enemy this turn so that we can get good shots. Let's see here. What's your LRM5 sweet spot? You're actually already in it. Can we get you to a same sweet spot while still moving? Um, that's not really perfect. In fact, far from it. Actually, not that far from it. Can you back up from there? No, you don't have that kind of movement. So if I move one more and then do a torso twist effect, no, that's just not going to work. The problem is that you're at the perfect range right now, although that means that if we like back up and then walk forward like here, then a torso twist would get the Phoenix Hawk on it, but not anything else. What I'm trying to do is get that thing within the sweet spot for my gun, for the sweet spot for my LRM5 and PPC. Well, actually, right, those are, yeah, can't do both of those. Let's err on the side of the PPC then. And that would put it at, no, damn it. We move 3, that's at least 1. That gets it within my short range, and I'm within 1 on the LRM5. That's doable. My Wolverine, how afraid am I of that tank just wheeling around and zapping me bad again? Now my movement's down to 3. That means if I back up, I'm not even going to be able to back up that much. I could jump jet away, but that's going to effectively gain me heat. Then again, it'll only gain me up to a little bit, because gain me up a little bit because I'll be jumping 5, gain 5, but losing 4, so I'd only go up to 14 heat. 14 heat isn't any worse than 13. Well, 14 actually is worse. Right, that's the first shutdown check. We were pretty close to that this time. Instead, if I walk, I can get behind. I can't be targeted well by the Dragon or the Phoenix Hawk, although they can definitely do it. I'm going to risk the shutdown in order to be able to put a lot of distance between me and them. If I shut down, it won't explode me or anything. It just means that, my mech will be immobile and they'll be fucking taking all their shots at it and destroying it. So I think that's the best move, sadly. Now, allies, how are you going to fuck up my day? We already took out the Hetzer. You're taking those back shots. Good for you. Good for you. We need to get the medium laser on this Hermes poppin'. So I am just going to cannonball run him straight up here. Don't you have movement? No, oh, right. Elevation change. Cannonball run him straight up there. Get good shots with that. Get good shots with the AC5. Can't quite get flamer shots, but that's okay. That's a minimal part of my damage anyway. Whoop. And then our last ally jumps over there and does things for a reason. He's kind of still getting back shots also. Anyway, point of this is we want to launch. We've been building up heat steadily with these LRM 15 since we've been kind of running and gunning. This is going to put us at 4 heat, but that's still manageable when we fire the LRM 15 and the LRM 15. We could take shots with the medium laser, but in case this isn't enough to knock that thing out, I'll need to go into heat econ next turn to keep myself from burning out. So I'm just going to take it easy. Over here, we had our carefully calculated positioning to be able to lay a PPC at 5. That's excellent. And an LRM at 6. That's okay. My Wolverine can't afford to take any shots. She just has to dump heat. That's pretty much the only option that she has. Just do nothing, try to cool down, for God's sakes. Don't boil up. And Dizzy over here is going to lay his AC5. A 97% chance. That's pretty sure that's going to fucking hit. And his medium laser on target. And now we hope for the best. Enemy dragon firing at my Shadowhawk. That's okay. I can take shots on the Shadowhawk. Hits me on the right torso and misses the other shots. Phoenix Hawk is picking on our allied Stinger, hitting it in the left torso and with a large laser and melting off all of its armor and getting into internal. This is why you don't field Stingers. They fucking suck. I mean, I keep trying to defend the Stinger, but only because it's slightly better than the Locust. They're both 20-ton mechs. Don't field them. These are not war mechs. These are civil protection mechs. I know that they're supposed to be used for like scouting and stuff, but that's just it. They're used for scouting and stuff. You don't field them as independent units and then have them go balls forth charge the enemy. You need some heavy shit that actually attracts the enemy's attention and then they can flank. Anyway, Bulldog gets another good shot, managing to land a large laser on my Hermes, despite the fact that it sprinted full out, dealing 8 damage to its left arm, but he's got enough armor to take that. SRM4s both miss, so that's at least something. Our Trebuchet, Hog hasn't been doing so great this mission. He's fired 6 shots, and this is the first one he's actually landed, to my reckoning. But at least he got 9 missiles on target, but no crit procking, so that stinks. PPC's dialed in properly again, but only melts armor, no motive system. LRM5 hits, only deals 3 damage. Stinger, allied Stinger, manages to land a shot on the rear left torso of that Phoenix Hawk. That melts through the armor and gets into internals. Sadly, does not actually cause a critical hit. His machine gun starts raking at it. Does not hit that open spot, though, unfortunately. The Hermes manages to land both its shots on the Bulldog, but only melts some, pops off some front armor, melts a little bit of left side, and manages to cut its movement down to half. So not destroyed, but at least we've started something. Wasp focuses on the dragon and is actually stripping that right leg pretty nicely. Maybe we can advance on that and start a kicking match. The Stinger tried to kick on a pretty likely roll. Missed on that, but he had more than enough to succeed, although, wait a minute. Okay, that wasn't likely at all, you dipshit. Don't do that. Okay, we just barely avoid shutting down our Wolverine. We've backed her up enough that it looks like the enemy is not focusing on her anymore. Sassy is going to have to kind of pull back out of this fight. As much as it sucks, that's the only logical thing to do just to avoid any kind of uh, really nasty consequences. Now, fortunately, that means that the bulldog here exposed his side arc to me, and I intend to take advantage of that. Let's see, a backup would put him at perfect range, and then we could just launch missile after missile. He'll focus on the trebuchet, but the trebuchet hasn't been damaged yet, so most likely we should be fine. Zoop. Our Lyran allies position themselves in a way that they can get rear shots on a bulldog that's already dead, so that they can instead stand between two enemies, a medium and heavy enemy mech with their 20-tonner. You fucking stupid piece of shit. I could rush up with my Hermes in order to get some kicks on this dragon, take out its leg, but on the other hand, so the dragon is what? A 60-ton mech, kicks for 12. How is my leg armor looking? My leg armor is 14. I can take a kick on my leg. On the other hand, they have one leg at 12 and one leg at 3. My 40-ton Hermes kicks at 8. If we hit the left leg, it won't do anything. If we hit the right leg, we're into criticals and could potentially pop it off. Mixed potentially with my, stop it you, 55-ton Shadowhawk, who will deal 11 damage, that could kick the dragon's leg out. What we can do is sort of air with the air to have the Hermes over on this side. Can you do it like this? That looks cooler. Stop it. Air to have the Hermes on this side, have the Shadowhawk front and center, and then we can still turn to shoot the Bulldog, who is our primary target, but then just kind of lay some extra hits on the dragon. I think that's okay. That sounds like a fun time to me. One quick check of something. Yeah, I think this looks better. It's the same movement, but it just looks better to me. And do a quick turn just to make sure both of them are in my front arc, so if I want to like split fire for some reason, I can. And the Wolverine is going to back up to maximum range. You're currently at 14. You'll soak down 4, so just be at 10, but you'll actually be at 12 because of the heat you gain, or 11 from the heat you gain from walking. But really what you're doing is you're moving back so that on your following turn, you're touching the board edge and you can escape, just in case. So let's fuck this guy's day up. He did not move much because he can't. He's got like 2 movement left. Let's I could do a heat econ turn by just firing one of my LRM-15s and that would reset me. On the other hand, I could fire both. That would put me at 5. That's going to give me -1 movement points. But that's my best option for doing a lot of damage right now and taking this thing out of the fight. So I'm going to keep dipping into heat on my trebuchet. Over here, the Hermes. Interesting point of order. It's got 3s right now and 7s. However, the Flamer can't hit that thing. Flamer could hit this guy. This guy's at heat 0, so... Now, the Flamer has 2 modes, damage and adding heat to the enemy. If you put it into heat mode, it deals 2 heat to them instead of 2 damage. But this guy doesn't have a lot of heat generating stuff anyway, so it's not really worthwhile. We could put 2 more damage on this guy by firing on him, and then taking both my shots at this guy. It makes my medium shot worse, but unfortunately, the dragon has to be my primary target because of that whole primary target front arc thing. Is it worth that for 2 damage? The difference in those percentages? It's really not, if I'm being honest with myself. So let's just go ahead, AC5 and medium laser on the Bulldog's tailpipe. And then the Shadowhawk is going to be looking at, I mean, it's not likely with the LRMs, but may as well take it anyway. And over here, can you actually evacuate on this turn? No, you got to evacuate in the movement phase. So just don't fire anything. Keep cool. Bulldog is firing on my Trebuchet, but manages to miss every shot. Fuck you. Dragon fires at my allied Stinger. Puts some more hurt on him with a medium laser. Enemy Phoenix Hawk manages to zap the friendly Wasp into internal structure on its left torso with a single medium laser shot. It must have taken some damage on that before. I think that they've got at least enough to take a medium laser. I'd hope. I'd fucking hope. But that means that they're down a heat sink and down to 1 structure left on their left torso. Friendly Wasp contributes to the fight a little bit by hitting the dragon in its center rear with a medium laser. However, that still leaves 7. It is a heavy mech, and it is heavily armored on its ass. SRM-2 manages to hit the left leg of the dragon. That actually helps our plan out a little bit, because it makes it just that much easier for us to potentially leg this bastard. LRM-15 manages to hit the Bulldog, -1 movement, -1 movement. That thing is effectively immobilized, and then the second one confirms it. The vehicle is fully immobilized, so it is out of this fight. Friendly Stinger manages to also put some shots on the Bulldog. Doesn't destroy it, which is what we do with our PPC up its tailpipe. Manages to destroy the armor and the section, destroying the Bulldog with damage. We didn't need to do that, but I don't mind doing that. That's fine. I just wanted to make sure it's out. So at this point, we have destroyed 2 of the enemy's units out of 4. That is /victory. And we are going to take a couple last turn kicks at this guy's leg. And we'll see if we get lucky, you know? We'll see if we get lucky, both land on the same leg and effectively immobilize him. Wasp punches. Well, they didn't. Weirdly enough, we've got... Whoa. Okay. So, the kick table is interesting. The vast majority of the shots that you can kick are on the leg, but there's a couple ones up in the 10 plus range that allow you to hit the torso. Now, this goes against what I wanted them to do, but it does look like both Dizzy and Small just kind of fucking jump kicked this dragon on its right and left torso, which procced a shitload of piloting checks for it, but it's a pretty decent pilot, managed to make all of them. But with that, we have forced the enemy from the field before their reinforcements show up. So once again, I fucked up a little bit and didn't leave it on the map, but you didn't need to see much, it was a featureless plane. Getting shot in the torso for a through armor critical that nicks my engine twice is a fucking pain in the ass. I absolutely need to get some edge on these people ASAP. So, I've explained this slightly before. Edge is a thing that you can invest your pilot XP in. It costs 10 points per pop, or maybe 5? I should double check that. It costs, I want to say 10 points per pop because it's kind of powerful what it does. What it gives you is a couple conditional rerolls. You can set the conditions for what the rerolls are. Like, let's say you can set it for head hits, for through armor criticals, and 4 ammo bins hit. Now, for let's say that we got that through armor critical. If Sassy had had that point of edge already, she could have just said, okay, we got a through armor critical, please re-roll the hit location. Now, if it's a through armor critical again, nothing you can do about that. If it re-rolls to, like, say, a headshot, nothing you can do about that. But it would prevent that through armor critical from getting through. Potentially. It would make it a lot harder anyway. You can also do it for, like, blackout rolls and various other things that generally remove your mech from fighting, but through armor criticals is the most important because we didn't see an awful lot of those last campaign. They just didn't happen to us as frequently as they did here, but it's a quick way to render a mech from completely operational to fucking exploded in a single hit. After all, it was a single SRM2 flying into poor Commander Kobe's open fuel cap on his stalker that lost us that. But enough dwelling on the past. Let's go and make that a priority. Usually, I get to have a couple contracts to work on improving my guys' skills and stuff before I really start having to worry about that. But that's just not the case this time around. So let's go take care of that and see what we can assign. And I will see you guys next time for the monthly update, I guess. See ya.